Okay, my good friends, so now we're doing cranial arteries, and thank you so much for sticking around. So you guys are going to get extra points. Don't forget to write your names on a piece of paper so that I can then have it, and then we give you the points. But since we're doing the circulatory system, I'll add it to the final exam. You see what I'm saying? Those 2 points. and that will come in handy.
Yeah, 2 points.
2 points? Oh, it does help. Oh. It can get you from a B minus to, well, maybe a B plus. Yeah, not an A. Okay, my good friends. You know. Yeah, I know. You know, you think it, you know, you imagine it, my good friends. So again, this one isn't well infused, but you could see the aorta right here. You see the aortic arc. See a bit of the ascending over here. The aortic arc. Okay. Oh, crap. And then you could see here the brachiocephalic trunk, right? The brachiocephalic trunk. I'm sorry. Okay. And then here would be the left subclavian. Left subclavian. Remember I told you with the cat, you only have the brachiocephalic trunk, which branches into the right subclavian, which I'm gonna try and expose over here. The left common carotid here, for the most part, but humans will have like the left common carotid as a direct branch from the aortic arc, and the almost always the left subclavian artery is a branch from the aortic arc, because it's too far left for it to branch from this blood vessel. You see what I'm saying? So it's always a branch directly from the arc to go to the left side. You see what I'm saying? Whereas these ones, because they're both going in the middle to the head, so they can branch from the brachiocephalic trunk. So let me show you. See what I'm saying?
That's where both of them are.
Yeah.
But it would just be the common artery.
Yeah. So do you see, my good friends, do you see this one brachiocephalic trunk? Okay, looky here. 1, that's the left common carotid. And then 2 would be this one. It kind of infused, and then it didn't infuse. But now I'm looking for the right. So this it didn't quite infuse as well. You understand? Looky here. This will be the right subclavian artery, and then this one that's cut over here. So there's our thing right there. So this would be our internal mammary, and then the one on the left would come from here. So this one got truncated roof. Let me see. So this one had a little bit better infusing. So this is the left subclavian artery, okay, and then it goes here, and then you could see a bit of the thoracervical here. You see what I'm saying? The thoracervical, yeah, that's small. But in the exams, the thoracervical, you see it running alongside the external jugular vein. Okay, you see there it is. You see it? Do you see it, my good friends? This one is showing the thoracervical a little bit more than that one. Okay, and then this one also. This is why this one also has this one, which is the transverse scapular artery. Do you see it? This one, my good friends. Do you see it? The transverse scapular artery. This one. Okay, so the transverse scapular artery.
Where's the thyroid?
Thoracervical is this one. Yeah.
So it's a little lower.
It's kind of going up here. There's the thoracervical. This one. Okay, is one that's giving off this branch here, which is the transverse scapular artery, and then this is the transverse scapular vein from the external jugular vein. You see what I'm saying? And then this here would still be the subclavian on the left, subclavian artery on the left. And we don't see the mammary here because the mammary would have been well infused here. If you were to see juxtaposed together, okay, you see there's the left subclavian, and then there's the internal mammary on this side, and there's the right subclavian, and there's the internal mammary. See, this is why I was like, they look like nipples. You see what I'm saying? Like this, which reminds you of the breast. You see? So there's, you see, this one smells. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to ignore it and try, but because I'm talking and gulping air, I smell it. You know.
He's eating it.
Okay. This is the brachiocephalic tract right here, and then the internal mammary at least shows. This one, the one on this side shows, but this one, you see how it's not very well infused. This one is at least it's kind of reddish, and you could see the internal mammary there. But this one here, we couldn't see the thoracocervical, but this is it right there. You could see it right there. It's very small, yeah. But lucky the pictures we have, they show it nicely, running alongside the external jugular vein, okay? But this one at least shows you the transverse scapula on this side, you see, artery, and then also the transverse scapular vein from the external jugular vein. Which one shows? This one shows you the transverse scapula. Okay, but not quite the transverse scapular artery, but maybe a little bit of it. You can see the little red that's over there. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? The transverse scapula. It's not very well infused, but there's a little bit of red. Do you see it? Opposite, or is it just me? Yeah, but it's there, but it's really small. You see the red, the little red. You know, I'm surprised I could actually see it, but I'm sure I can see it. Okay, so anyway, the good thing about having these two kits, because this one was only one done yesterday, this one wasn't done. But anyway,
What's
so.
the diameter of the vessels usually?
Well, remember we did it, we said 2.5 or so centimeters is those elastic arteries. Like the aorta would be like 2.5 centimeters. This is really big, up to 2.5, 1 centimeter, and then 1 centimeter to 3 millimeters, and then 3 millimeters to would be those arterioles to like 10 micrometers. Then anything below 10 micrometers is the capillaries. Yeah, the capillaries. So, but it varies, depending on the size of the human. Okay. Anyway, so at least you could see here the axillary. Let me see if this one will show us the. You see here, it's not well infused, but
The pink
oh crap!
one? The pink.
You see,
Let's
so
mention
there's
that.
the subscapular artery. You see, it's a good thing both they get picked up. You see what I'm saying? They get picked up by this. So there's the subscapular. We're going to this subscapularis, subscapular artery, and then at that point, you see the subclavian comes, splits into the subscapular artery, and then now it becomes the axilla. It's approaching the axilla. It becomes axillary. So at this point, it's now axillary artery. Do you see what I'm saying? Axillary artery, and then in the exam, I'll make it very obvious, right? Okay, so once it passes here, so anything over on this side, it's the brachial artery and brachial vein, because there's the leg pit right there. So I'll make sure the arrow is kind of here, you see? So you know to say brachial vein for the blue one, brachial artery for the red one. You understand? But here, you could see when it becomes the axillary artery. It's here. Because once it gives this branch, the subscapular artery, then it becomes the axillary artery, approaching the axilla, the armpits. Axillary artery up to here, and then after that it's brachial artery, and then brachial vein. Okay? Yeah? So in the exam, like I say, I'll make sure it's obvious that the arrow for this will be after this turn here at least. And then anything towards here, in fact, the subclavian on the left, this one will be what I tag, And on the right, I take this one. Do you see it? So this one is, it's kind of not well infused. This is the right subclavian, and you could see the branches. So the left common carotid here is coming from the brachiocephalic trunk, which is this, and then the right subclavian, and then the right common carotid is here. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of hidden here, see, but there it is. Right common carotid, this one, and then the left common carotid is this, right? And then the right subclavian is here. So all three branches are like this. You see what I'm saying? All on this, which is the brachiocephalic trunk. And then obviously the left subclavian is a branch by itself. Do you see that? So there's that, and then it gives this mammary, internal mammary, and the left internal mammary. Yeah, you know, for this one, I won't bother for you to say left or right. You know, the only thing I want you to say left and right to is the left subclavian artery and the right subclavian artery. Okay, okay. Because even though this is splitting differently, it's still the subclavian. So you don't even by that you don't have to say, you know, because it's still the subclavian, and this is still the subclavian. It's just that the subclavian itself is splitting differently. So that's the only one you have to identify as right and left. You understand? Because it's one that's splitting differently. Because whereas this branch is on the right subclavian, this also branches on the left subclavian. It's still the subclavian. You see what I'm saying? But you could call it that if you wanted, but the reasoning behind it is when it's splitting from a different blood vessel. So this is still splitting from the subclavian, this is still splitting from the subclavian. See, so you don't necessarily have to say right and left, but you do have to say this subclavian is splitting from the brachiocephalic trunk, and this subclavian on the left is splitting from the aortic arc. So that's why you have to identify it. Do you understand? When it's splitting from a different blood vessel, you have to identify it like that. You see what I'm saying? That's why I was saying the common carotid here, because the left common carotid and the right common carotid is splitting from the brachiocephalic trunk. So you don't have to say left and right common carotid in this situation. But in that situation over there, where the left common carotid is a branch of the aortic arc, and you have to, and the right common carotid is a branch of the brachiocephalic trunk, then you have to say right and left. Do you understand? In that situation on the board.
So the cat doesn't have the.
For the most part, most cats would have this configuration where the right common carotid, the left common carotid, and the right subclavian arteries are branches of the subclavian trunk. Subclavian, you know, I mean the brachiocephalic trunk. I'm sorry. You see what I'm saying? Okay, my good friends, and then you could see the aorta here, the coming down, the descending aorta. Okay, but anyway, I wanted to show you that, and the thoracocervical is not coming out nicely, but I promise you it's gonna come out real good in the pictures, the exam pictures. And then of course the internal jugular vein as well. It's a little less infused here. It's gonna come out nicely in the pictures. Okay, and I think I'm gonna close it up now.